no good. Rebounded by Anthony. 2 seconds left. Anthony for the win. Cody rolls it. Cole Anthony gives the Magic a victory.
Close up Magic.
All right. Welcome back to a Happy New Year and another episode of the Close Up Magic. I'm your host, Stephen Cameron, and today we got Malik Grady. What's going on, man? Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, man. I'm glad to be able to experience the Magic in a brand new year with you. This is our first new year doing the podcast together, being part of the Magic. It feels like a real fresh start for me. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole baby New Year, naked baby type of a thing. That kind of whole attitude is where I'm at right now, you know?
You know, I agree with that. It's a fresh start. It's a new chapter. The Magic haven't lost in 2023, which is amazing. I still haven't played any games yet. And it's still a couple days away, but I'm taking it. You know, we're undefeated in 2023. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you have a good holiday season?
I did, man. Being able to see you in person, see the rest of the close-up family
fun.
Crew and everything like that. That really, I don't know, that added a lot of fuel to my holiday season, honestly, because I had to go back and forth from Gainesville to Titusville and then Orlando in between because I had to work and all that kind of stuff. So that really kind of buoyed me. That Friday was a big deal, being able to see you guys and hang out. Got to see Terry, CJ, the whole gang, get pictures, actual physical evidence. Walking in the cold. It was really cold there.
Dude, it was really cold.
Ungodly cold.
For the listeners that aren't familiar, we there was a group of us that got together for the Spurs game. We had a great time. Did a pregame,
December 23rd, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
The 23rd game Friday at home. Shout out to all those who came by the meet and greet at Harry Buffalo's. That was a good time, and then the game was great. And shout out Ozone Pod. Love those guys. It was awesome seeing you in person there and connecting before and after the game. And everyone else. So Philip Rossman Wright also showed out, and Adam Papagiorgio also showed out. So shout out to all those guys. It was
unfortunately, I got down there later than I wanted to. I didn't get a chance to see them before the game. I somehow got on the I-4 Express, and I was doing orbits around downtown, which was impressive. So I was going really fast, but I wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah, man, that was a good time. Hopefully we can do more of those in the future. All right, before we get into it, we are sponsored and hosted by 19 Media Group. 19 Media Group is an awesome podcast network. Loads of good shows. They got some new ones that are coming in the pipeline. I can't talk about it too much because I honestly don't know, but I know they told us they have some new podcasts about to join the show. So that's exciting. They help us do cool things like get ads, which you've heard here in the past. Ads help us get some money, which is nice. And just do some other cool things like get some merchandise. I'm not currently wearing any, but if you want to get some merchandise, go ahead and grab some. It helps the show a little bit. Other ways that you can help support this show, which is really cool, is you can smash that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube and hit the like button. If you're listening to this in audio format, you can subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. And the last thing that you can do, which is the really cool one, in my opinion, is you could consider becoming a Patreon. We have a Patreon program. Couple different tiers that you can consider joining. If you'd like to financially support us, those are the ways to do it. All right, Malik, we've gotten all that out of the way. There's no weird ad reads to do today. We can just get right into the show. Today is January 2nd. We were recording this that evening, and the news that came out of the Orlando Magic today is pretty fun. Jalen Suggs and Jonathan Isaac had a full practice with the main Orlando Magic roster. Not the Lakeland Magic, not the coaches, but the actual players. Wendell Carter played with Jonathan Isaac for the first time on a practice court in full contact and full speed since he's joined the Magic. I'm sure that was the same for quite a few other players other than just Wendell Carter. So what are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, it was wild to see Kobe Price, obviously the newsbreaker with that, to kind of I have that, and then see a little bit of video of Jalen Suggs shooting a little bit after practice, that kind of thing. And like you said, to have Wendell Carter Jr. talking about actually playing with Ji, it just feels more real. It feels more close to happening because there's a game tomorrow night. We have so many players that are out with suspension that it wouldn't be out of, I don't know, it wouldn't feel weird for Ji to maybe get a couple minutes or Jalen Suggs to get a couple minutes because we're so shorthanded, just to throw them out there and kind of get some time. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm not sure if that's realistic. That's not something I'm expecting, but it's to the point where if and when he's out there, it's not going to shock us anymore, which in itself is kind of shocking because it's been almost 3 years since we've seen him. So
Totally.
To have this hope is a weird feeling. Like you don't want to believe, but it's also getting closer. Like at some point he's going to be playing, and then what's our excuse, or what do we talk about at that point and all? And then with Jalen Suggs, it's been a full month that he hasn't played since the soreness, and he's aching to get out there. And we haven't had the availability for some of our young players. We were talking about the other night that like Cole Anthony, Jalen Suggs, and Markelle Fultz, they just haven't been available at the same time basically ever. So to have those possibilities plus Ji, like, I don't know, my mind is kind of blown. Like it's like everything and anything is possible. That's kind of where my mind went from the gamut, just reading that.
I was pretty encouraged because we know Ji has been doing full practices. He's done a handful, I think 3 with the Lakeland Magic over the last month. I think he was down there just last week or the week before, did his third full contact practice with them. I know he's played he was doing at least full quarters, maybe a little bit more when they were doing their game scrimmages and stuff like that. And, and then Jalen Suggs, a lot of it, we didn't have a lot of good information on him during this recovery process. We just knew it's the same ankle that he was having issues with, that he had surgery on, and it was like flaring up and whatnot. And there were some rumors floating around that it, could be worse than we think in many ways. And so to then all of a sudden get the news hey, he's full go. Like that was just super encouraging and really awesome, man. I immediately went to tomorrow's game when we play the Oklahoma City Thunder. And my thought was like, okay, cool. I just went to Ji because that's the name that was, first talked about, just the unknown. And I'm like, can we get him 8 minutes? 8 minutes, 4 in the first half, 4 in the second, end the first, transition to the second quarter, 2 minutes in each quarter. That's a nice way. Like you get 4 minutes, probably not going to find much rhythm, but you get a little bit of a break there in between the two in between the two quarters. Same in the second half, in between the third and the fourth, playing 4 minutes, 8 minutes total. Really easy. Ease into the game. I mean, you could do 10 minutes total, 5 in each half, same kind of thing. And very controlled at the end in the beginning of a quarter. So I thought that could be a really easy way. And then it alleviates a little bit of pressure on coach with how tight the rotations are. Like it gives him a tiny bit of an option there going from 8 to 9 men. He can at least do a nine-man rotation to an extent. And so I thought that'd be really cool. Jalen Suggs, if he is, really good to go, like sweet, bring him on if he needs to rest a few more days and come back middle of the road trip or something like that. That's cool too. I am, if they don't play the next 2 games, I'm wondering, do they go on the 5-game road trip out west? I hope so. If they're at full practice right now today and they don't go on the road trip, I'll be a little concerned. But it'd be really nice and encouraging to have both of them go on the road trip to potentially come back, because Gary Harris came back on a road trip, which was encouraging. I think Markelle Fultz also came back on an away game in Atlanta. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be cool, not saying, hey, away games is when they bring guys back, but it would be cool if they went on the road trip, because that means they might potentially get played on the road trip if they're not played before that. So,
well, and also there's in some ways the suspensions kind of make it, I guess, make the rotation a little simpler for Mosley, because we know there's only certain guys that are available. I know that Fultz, Cole, Bull, Paolo, and WCJ are all available. That's kind of what I expect to be the starter. WCJ finally to start again now that Moritz is out. And then hopefully once he starts, just never come out of the starting lineup again. Just be that starter from now on. Then off the bench, you'll have possibly available Suggs, definitely available Caleb Houston, definitely available Mo Bamba, and then maybe JI, maybe RJ. So you got 5 guys that may be off the bench, that kind of stuff. There won't be any Franz, unfortunately, because he has to serve his suspension game, that kind of thing. So it feels like a workable lineup. Like with you having WCJ next to Paolo and Bowl and Cole kind of rounding out that starters, it feels like a team that should be able to give OKC some problems, especially at home, especially with guys being healthy and having time off and all. So, I mean, OKC is a frustrating team because they make you look bad with how hard they play, and then just unveil, SGA, Giddey, guys doing weird things out there. I mean, I think Poku's out for right now, but they're a team that it's always embarrassing to kind of lose to because they're supposedly tanking, but then suddenly they kind of come up with these wins and these kind of hard play that make you look bad. So hopefully, after this time off, to have 2 games back to back, because you play Memphis again, at home as well. So these are really important games. After losing those 3 straight, my heart and stomach just sank losing those 3 games. It was tough. It was tough to feel, especially knowing what's coming up.
They weren't good losses either. They were all pretty ugly losses. You can kind of make up the excuse the last game because they were so shorthanded and like weird rotations and no one was available. You're right. You had the guys you had. But at the same, we didn't really have a real center, but at the same point, you could just, you can also just see the body language on some of these guys. The Detroit game wasn't good either. Just low energy, low effort. And I'm hoping to see a difference in the start of 2023, right? Against OKC. Let's come out. They've had a long break. Let's come out with some fire. They had 4 games, I believe 4 days off in between games. So come back. Let's try and start the year strong with good energy, good effort. Maybe even some reinforcements with JI and Suggs coming in, and just hopefully string together a couple of wins. At least at home. If we get one of these 2 games at home, that'd be awesome. Hopefully it'd be the Memphis game. And I'm only saying that for selfish reasons because our boy CJ will be at the game covering that game again. Unless something changes on his schedule work-wise, he'll be at that game.
It's exciting.
He did it. Yeah, it is exciting. We're starting to find our groove with game coverage. We're doing these long Twitter threads, and they're only going to get better. They're only going to look cleaner too. We have some improvements we're working on the back end, which are really cool. And the last Twitter thread that he did really well. The impressions were great. The amount of views he had did awesome. So that's a format we're looking forward to in a kind of a way that we like to use our coverage to be impactful. But anyways, so I'm looking forward to the Memphis game simply because of that. And then, to kind of round out this trip or this first week coming into the new year, they end this coming week. You have OKC on the 4th, Memphis at home on the 5th, and then 2 days later, you're playing at Golden State to start your 5-game road trip out west. And that's a key game for me because I'm going to be at that game.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering if you were going or not. I was hoping, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I am going to that game, and I would love for it to be a competitive game. It's not always competitive when they come out and play at Chase Center. But sometimes it's
going to be a tough game.
And it is going to be a tough game. Jordan Poole is on fire right now. He's playing really, really well. It's the start of a 5-game
playing well.
Kuminga's playing well. You're right. I would love for this team to go 2-1 this week, but if they went 1-2, I would be also okay with that. I just need them to not go 0-3. What do you think they can do this week as far as wins?
Well, I mean, obviously OKC and Golden State are the two games that you focus on the most.
Yeah.
Games where they have some key players maybe out, or it's a big home game, or it's a game that you can maybe focus on and maybe find some advantages. Because Golden State obviously isn't supposed to have Steph Curry. They have some bangs and I think Wiseman is out as well. He hasn't been playing at all, but I think he turned his ankle. So there's just some kind of flux going on with them.
Wiggins, I think, is still out.
Yeah, man, that's a game that you really just want to focus on. If you can get that game at Golden State to begin your road trip, it would just mean so much going into this new year, because that's been the first game I think everyone's back. I want to say Moritz is back for that game.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any minutes limits for Wendell Carter Jr. and Gary Harris. As we've seen, Jalen and J.I. are possibles. That the whole team's going to be out there, living it up in Oakland. So it just feels like a real possibility. And the numbers for the Magic have gotten kind of ugly. Like these past three games have kind of cratered our offensive rating all the way down to 28th out of 30. And we know that last year we were 30th out of 30, dead last. We had actually kind of climbed earlier in this year, having some pretty good offensive games. But these last couple of games have really kind of put us up against the 8 ball. You'd like to see just some better offense, because, people's eyes are bleeding watching these guys right now. It's tough to watch, but they're not that far from having some better games, feels like.
I think at least for Golden State, I think there is a good opportunity that we'll see a different Magic, because as young teams do, they play up versus the hot teams and the good teams and the big coverage teams, and they play down to bad teams. And that's why we get blown out by Detroit. I don't think we've beaten them. Is that the second time we've played them this year, or the third?
Yeah, we played them in the opener.
Yeah.
And then we played them just now in that debacle.
So we've lost twice.
The fight.
We've lost twice to Detroit. The Magic we've seen them play down to teams. We see them play up to teams. So I'm hoping they play up versus the Golden State Warriors, and I'm in attendance. It's a good game, and the Magic get a W. That would just be awesome.
Especially because that's the first game, I think, of 5
road trip.
Straight road games.
Yep.
And even in between them, there's a game they come back. So basically, 6 out of the next 7 games are on the road.
Yeah, it's a hard schedule coming up.
You could really create it right now, or you could maybe find something, get a game here, get an overtime, that kind of thing. So it's a real tough stretch that we're going to learn a lot about this team. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, the last time they went on a kind of a long road trip, it was okay. It was kind of towards the end of that win streak we had. So I'm hopeful that we start strong and we can, go 3-2 on this road trip. Get a win against Portland, get a win against Utah, and then, be competitive and maybe get an extra win against one of those other teams, Golden State. Denver's on fire right now. Sacramento's a scary team right now. They're good. They're playing well. So it's not going to be easy. I'm looking forward to it.
Utah's tough. Actually, Utah and Denver, both of them in altitude.
Yeah, but the Magic better be training in that altitude chamber right now. They better be training in that altitude chamber they have. So, you're right, man. We have been, I don't think we ever cracked 20, but it'd be nice to have them get their offense going a little bit more. Seeing good ball movement, guys getting their shots back, finishing a little bit better. It's just been, it just feels like the on-court communication with this team hasn't really been there recently. And it feels like that's part of the reason why things are struggling. Again, also a reason why some people like myself want to get this team a little bit older with a couple more vets, because that kind of will stop the ups and downs that young teams really, really have. And so, when the time is right, which could be coming up here in a little bit, it might be time to, make this team a little bit older. And what I'm hinting at there is in a date that you have keenly highlighted on our spreadsheet here is the trade deadline. Why don't you talk about the trade deadline that's coming up and kind of maybe introduce that for the Magic right now?
Yeah, basically, we have 22 games, 40 days, and within that, the NBA trade deadline is February 9th. After that, there will be 3 more games before they actually break for the All-Star break, and that's basically only a month and a day away. There's so many deadlines and things coming up where guys' contracts will start to look different, whether guys will be sniffed at as trade bait. For example, we know Mohamed Bamba will become trade eligible on January 15th. That's 13 days away. The contract for Jonathan Isaac will become fully guaranteed on January 15th. So those are some guys that you're looking to have come back. And, obviously you have Gary Harris's contract, which is non-guaranteed for next year. You have Terrence Ross, who's, doesn't seem like he's part of the future for this team, even the near future. He seems like he might not be on the team, maybe kind of going into the All-Star break, that kind of thing. So if you're going to make some of those moves, this is the time. This is when that's going to happen, in addition to all these games happening. And it's kind of weird. It does feel like it, but the Magic are actually far ahead of their pace last year in terms of how many wins they have. And it doesn't feel like it. But like I said, last year we were in a real crater at the time, but we already won more games. We're actually in a better position. We're that 4 games out of the 10th spot, but it's 4 games behind 3 guys in a virtual tie. So I think that we have a chance to be in the mix for this for quite a while, even if they lose some games, we lose some games, just because so many teams are right there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different feeling going in the trade deadline, depending on what you want to do. Do you want to go for getting some win? Do you want to get Ross out of here to get somebody in? Do you want to bring somebody up from the G League? Like, what does this team want to do? And these games will really tell you what direction you should go in, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to learn a lot right now, and the front office needs to be. I mean, they have some hard decisions to go after, right? Do you go for the play-in and hope that you can be better than 3 teams right now, and get into the 10th spot? You're hoping to be better than the Bulls, the
Raptors, and the Wizards.
Raptors and the Wizards.
3 that are real bit there, yeah.
And none of those teams are all that scary, but a lot of those teams are also a little bit. They're not scary individually, one-on-one, but they are. When you look at all 3 of them, it's hard to think that the Magic will all of a sudden be better than all 3 of them. I don't think we're going to see all 3 of those teams blow it up at the trade deadline. I don't know if we'll see any of them blow it up. Maybe they make small moves. Maybe they do blow it up. Maybe the Bulls blow it up. Who knows? They just got, Donovan Mitchell just dropped 71 on the Bulls tonight. And the Bulls had a decent offensive night themselves, but it's and then you have, like, this team also feels too good to tank as far as when healthy talent is on. We saw what they can do. So anyways, long story less long, this front office has to make some decisions, because I kind of think they need to make pick a direction here at this trade deadline. Now, they could play it fairly safe, not do a whole lot, just move the Ross contract, buy him out or get a second for him or something like that, open up a roster spot, let that roster spot be open, or, sign Kevon Harris to it, which then opens up a 2-way. They could be very minimal and do something just like that, or they could quickly have $30,000 in salary ready to unload on a team. They could throw in some interesting young players, and they could maybe throw in a pick or 2. I mean, they just have a lot of assets right now and players and good contracts where you could get back a really good piece. And so I don't know who's available, as far as around the league, who you would want to do a mega package for, or maybe you do something a little bit smaller for just a good role player to kind of give us some better depth. I'm not sure, but the Magic have a lot of options, and they have a couple really hard questions they have to look in the mirror and ask themselves. So
yeah, and it feels different with the team hopefully getting healthier and on the court. I don't know. It just it feels, I don't know, more justified or right to make moves when guys are actually healthy to me than when guys are hurt. Like, for example, right now, if you traded even Jalen Suggs or Cole Anthony and Gary Harris, those guys are actually playing now, whereas before they were just coming off an injury. I don't know. It just feels more right for guys to be able to trade it and actually be able to play. Whereas if you had traded Gary Harris 3 weeks ago, you would trade him and say, hey, he's coming back eventually, and his new team might be able to have the benefit of his presence, type of a thing. So I don't know. Did that feel any different to you now that the team is actually healthy, that you actually can trade guys in a different way? Or is it, because to me, it feels weird to trade guys that are hurt and then there's physicals going on and you don't know if they're going to play or not,
I mean, I think it all depends. Like, I don't think the value is going to change much of Gary Harris if he was hurt or now healthy. Like,
Okay.
We're probably getting the same type of return regardless, maybe slightly different protections, like Terrence Ross playing well versus Terrence Ross playing poorly. It's probably a second round pick anyways, maybe there's a couple more teams interested if he's playing well. So you just might have more discussion about him, but like, you can get off of Terrence Ross if they want to, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Someone
I think
would
get
take
off
him.
all these guys. I just think there's some teams that really need guys to play right
Yeah.
now.
I guess what I'm saying is, like, obviously it's always better to have healthy players so people can, like, be more attractive. Right now our healthy players aren't playing great, so I don't know if them being healthy and playing bad is any better than them not playing at all and being injured. Maybe there's something to the unknown. But at the same point, yeah, of course it's good to have them healthy and playing. Hopefully they can start finding some grooves, hitting some shots, to make, maybe we get a couple more calls on some of these guys to see who's available and might shake some things up a little bit. What are you kind of hoping, if you put your GM cap on for a moment, what would you like to see or do if you were the Magic at this point in time?
Well, I feel like there's kind of maybe four guys that feel the most liquid and that you might be able to package together for a nice salary, a nice player, that kind of thing. You got Mo Bamba, RJ Hampton, Terrence Ross, Gary Harris. Those are the guys that in some sort of combination, you can get up to a huge salary, first of all. You have one guy that's on a rookie deal, one guy that has a non-guaranteed, actually two guys that have guaranteed years for next year. So there's some creativity you could have depending on who you want to take back and how, that kind of thing. So I think that, plus, if you want to throw in a pick, you want to throw in a swap, you want to throw in some future, draft capital, that kind of thing. I just think there's some real possibilities there if you want to go over an overpriced player, Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, Gary Hart, Josh Hart, Dylan Brooks, guys that are on these kind of interesting contracts that if you package together, could you trade two of these guys and get one back and, hey, we'll eat salary? Because again, our books are very clean. Those are the kind of things that I'm wondering, because I guess Mo Bamba was actually playing well. He's been healthy. He's been,
he's had an excellent season, all things considered.
And there's some teams that could use a stretch forward, could use a guy off the bench, or even just spot starter, blocking shots and all. Just from a excitement for your fans, because Mo Bamba, he's still somebody that you kind of piques the imagination. If you had a point guard getting him the ball in certain positions, if you were on a 5-out team, those type of things. Could he play for your team in a different way than he's playing in Orlando, especially under that contract where you can easily extend him next year, or, just let him loose for nothing at all. So those are the guys that I'm eyeing. Those four guys, like, are they on their way out? Is there a package? Are people calling us? Because we've heard the Lakers mention for Terrence Ross that they wouldn't mind having a veteran kind of gunner out there. I mean, they're not going to send a lot, but, we're not asking the world. We just want to kind of move on a little bit and have maybe some
yeah.
different decks on the Titanic, so to speak.
Yeah, I feel sort of the same. I'd like to see a little bit of a consolidation trade. I mean, obviously, like if the right all-star was available, I'm eager to do a trade like that. Let's go. But at the same point, like if not, you don't know if there's going to be other all-star caliber type players available this summer that might want to move. So it's just kind of hard to like predict that stuff. And I don't want to necessarily hoard our players and picks for the what if of the future. Yeah. But at the same point, you kind of got to think about that a little bit too. I'm very interested in some of those players you named. I don't necessarily love him as a player, but throw Duncan Robinson in there as another type of
thought the same thing just now.
Movement shooter you could throw in. Then it's like, okay, we have 2 picks this year in this coming draft. What is the Bulls pick added to those players? What kind of players could you attract coming back to the Magic that way? Now, granted, I'm not saying you have to go trade this pick, but we have a lot of options, and this team is very, very young. Yeah, we have the Denver pick. This team is very young. It's already hard to find minutes for all of our guys already. Thinking about adding 2 more rookies, if we don't do another really big consolidation trade this summer, things are going to get pretty messy with these 2 rookies getting playing time. So we just have a lot of options, and it would be nice to. I don't love him as a player, but he would be good for this team in some ways. His game is just not the prettiest in the world, but like a Dylan Brooks he'd be awesome for this team. He's tough. He's played in high level games. He plays hard every single night. Kind of plays
should be able to play next to Franz and Paolo.
Yeah. He's a good player. We were talking in a group chat the other night about him. I think you might have been in it. I think it was the one you were in too. And his game's like not the prettiest and can be a little bit of a ball stopper, but dude, he would be an awesome culture guy for this team, and it's just, do you want to trade for him and then give him a contract this summer kind of deal? And, maybe the Magic do, maybe they should. We have a lot of money and opportunity, but it's going to be interesting. I don't know, like if I say, hey, go for the play. And I probably say, don't do any like stupid win now moves. Do moves that make the team better and think long-term. But I don't know if I would do like, hey, let's make some overpays to make the play in this year, because one, unless it is really just that awesome of a player, find it really hard that the Magic are going to be better than 3 teams above them right now to get into the play-in, which is how young this roster is, and the ups and downs we know that they can have as a team. I think you'd have to really get a culture changer with a high skill set to come and make that big of a difference, and I just don't know if that's available, like unless you swung for a Fred VanVleet. Like you swing for Fred VanVleet, yes, you better make the play in. But like if you're swinging for Dylan Brooks, that's like a long-term move. Nice, show some competition, but I don't know if you're going to beat the Bulls, the Raptors, and the Wizards. Like those teams are can play at a high level.
What I like where we're at right now, because just standings wise, I think we're significantly ahead of like the San Antonio, Houston, Charlotte, Detroit range and all. But we're just in that kind of nice limbo underneath it. We're close enough to the play in the East to make games competitive where we actually have to care about them, but we're not so close in that it wouldn't take more than a few losses for us to get back down to a nice, 6 to 10 type of a range, rather than getting into the actual end of the lottery where you're 15, 16. Like it would take a lot for us to get to that 15, 16 range. If we actually got there, we'd feel good about it, because that would mean that we're actually winning games. We actually to the actual second round of the play and something like that. So we're not going to be sad if we actually get that far. We're kind of content to be just below that, so that the last 3 weeks of games actually mean something, which is where we're kind of pointed, where it's like, hey, there's mathematically still in it. The magic number, so to speak, is still alive going into those last couple of weeks. So the games matter. That's what I want in terms of development for these guys that when the roster is fully healthy and you maybe have made an addition to, that these guys are actually playing for something, even if they're not on the verge of, getting the 8th seed, so to speak. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. I think we're on track for that, to kind of play it both ways.
They're not going to make the decision easy, in my opinion. Like, if they suck for the next 10 games, okay, maybe the decision will be easy. Yeah. But, if we're competitive and start getting some wins under the belt, the front office, it shouldn't be a clear one way or the other. And maybe they already have their decision made on this and we just don't know. But, they should at least be getting some really good, valuable information. And the players themselves, should have the motivation to think they have a chance and want to go for it, because we're halfway through the season, just about. We're at game 37, I think, and so we're just about halfway through the season, which seems to already have flown by. Which is kind of really crazy. But there's also a lot of
third of the way. We're actually a third of the way through, and we actually this next month and change will be the next third in the All-Star break, and then just 23 games after that. So it's really we're already down to the nitty-gritty. Like we'll blink. It'll be the trade deadline on my birthday on February 9th. And we'll be 2/3 into the season, go to the All-Star break, and it'll be a mad dash, like 12 home games, 10 road games, and we're out of here, Yeah. So that's what's wild about it.
This season has gone by much quicker than the last season, in my opinion, for multiple reasons between basketball
Mostly
and life.
Thankfully.
But it's it's been a really exciting season so far. Paolo's been awesome. Franz has been awesome. It's good to see Fultz back, most part looking solid. Bowl has been exciting for a lot of people. It's been fun. So, well, Malik, this coming week is going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what these next 5 to 10 games look like for the season, early in 2023. I think this is a good spot to kind of wrap things up here.
Real quick, tell me a little more. Tell me more about your Golden State trip. Like, what are you wearing? Who are you going with? What do you have planned? Are you going to be covering? Are you going early pregame? Are you going asking any questions? Like, what do you got going on?
Well, you saw me kind of tame as far as like my looks, but when I go to Golden State games and I'm a Magic man, I ball out. So as far as my drip, dude. So I'll throw on some Jordans that are white and blue. Nice. They're the military retro 4s. So in military blue,
stylish,
which those are my jams for game days. I don't wear them often, but when I do, it's typically for a Magic game. Then I'll throw on some nice jeans. I'll throw on my Penny jersey, probably on top of a black Magic t-shirt, just to kind of double up. It's the black pinstripes Penny jersey. Then I'll probably throw it on with. I'll probably match it with my black new Magic City hat that I got in black. Might even throw a chain on. I don't throw chains on often, but I do sometimes for Magic games. It's kind of like it's my excuse to get dripped out.
Now you're going to the game with some of your Golden State contacts, so maybe a chance to get upgraded.
No, Magic friends. No, I don't try. I don't try to use the people I know with the team to like get hookups like that. I might say, hey, you got a ticket agent recommendation, and if something happens, great. If not, I'll just go on SeatGeek and pick something up.
How about pregame? You got some pregame stuff? It's a later game in the afternoon, I think.
So I got a buddy from LA, Magic fan, going to come out for it, I believe. And I got a couple other local friends that I like to watch sports with. One of them is also a Magic fan. So there might be 3-4 of us going to this game. I'm not drinking in January this month, so no like alcoholic pregames.
Street food.
But yeah, get some food. The arena's got some good food there. And then, just enjoy a night in San Francisco. So, maybe we go out afterwards. It's a Saturday game.
I was thinking you get out early enough, you guys could actually party a little bit down there, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would still easily – I'm not drinking, but I would still easily go out and party with my friends and have a good time, particularly my buddy that's traveling up from L.A. To join me. So get some video for us, man. Let us live vicariously because it's a beautiful stadium. I want to see the radiance of all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's a lot of fun to kind of share that with you, I think. I'll throw some photos, yeah. I thought about going up to Sacramento and like doing media coverage of that game, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen. It's on a Monday.
Yeah, I mean, well, isn't Remain up towards that area? You guys thought about kind of?
No, he's down in LA.
maybe?
He's down in that. He's down in
so
North.
that's a long, but
Yeah,
okay.
he's down in North LA area, I think.
Okay.
But Sacramento's cool, but it's like an hour and a half drive, and for me to do that on a Monday, not so happy.
Gotta get the helicopter for that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, if it was a Sunday, I'd go. I love that arena. That arena is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the better arenas I've been to in the NBA for sure. It's a phenomenal arena in Sacramento, and everyone that you'll come across there between the fans and the workers is super quality people. So I would encourage anyone, if you ever have an opportunity, go to the Sacramento, go catch a Sacramento game. So underrated city.
I'm excited. Basically, by this time next week, we will have played 4 games.
Yeah.
With a 5th one coming, next Wednesday, which
Yes,
is
sir.
just a lot in a little bit of time. So hopefully, it's after an exciting time where you have a lot of personal anecdote to add to it.
Yeah.
And some wins from TV and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. It's going to be a good time. Hopefully it's a good start to the year for us and the Magic and all of you listeners. We appreciate you tuning into the show. Support your Magic. If you want to support us, make sure you do so in the ways that we talked about at the beginning. Like, subscribe, leave a review, and consider becoming a Patreon. Peace out. Go Magic.